Let's go ahead and create a MySQL instance using the RDS wizard. For that, go to services and then go to databases and click on RDS. So this screen will come up and just click on get started now button here. Here, as you can see, we have various database options available. We will select MySQL here for our demo. Here we are going to select test environment. As you can see, for production, multi-easy deployment and provisioned IOPS is available, but we can choose those two options from our test instance as well later on. For licensing model, let's just keep general public license. For DB engine version, let's keep the default, and later on we can always upgrade it if needed, and we will see how to upgrade it. For DB instance class, let's select T2 medium. Now make sure at the end of the demo you terminate your instance, otherwise we will be charged because we are going out of the free zone. For multi-easy deployment, select no. Later on we will see how to change that option to yes, but for now let's just keep it as no. For storage type, you can either go with magnetic, general purpose SSD or provisioned IOPS, depending on your requirement and depending on your database type. For the demo purposes, let's just go with magnetic and let's keep the storage as 5 gigabytes. For DB instance identifier, just give a name, and for master username and password, give a name and password whichever you prefer. Make sure you don't forget, because we are going to use these parameters later on when we connect to our DB instance. For network and security section, this is a very important section. If you misconfigure something over here, you will not be able to log into your instance. So it's important to pay attention here. For VPC, I have kept it as default VPC and I have not changed it. For public access, I have kept it as yes. And for VPC security group, I have left it as default. Now, as you can see here in my default security group, what I have done is the source IP address is kept as my local machine's IP address. So here you can see here in the inbound tab, the source IP address is my machine's IP address, so you can make the necessary changes. Now, as mentioned in the security chapter, you want to keep minimal access, and then later on you can loosen your access a little bit if you want to accommodate more users. For now, I've just kept my source IP address of my computer as the only IP address that can access our instance. Now for database options, give a database name. Let's leave the default port and the DB parameters group, and enable encryption is no for this demo. Now let's look at backup. Now over here I have selected backup retention period as 7, but you can go up to 35 days. So basically your backup will be kept for 35 days. So depending on your needs, you can select your options. And for backup window, I have selected no preference, but you can select a window like when do you want the backup to be performed, because it may degrade a performance a little bit. So you can select your backup window. And enhanced monitoring is off, but we will see detailed monitoring in next section. For maintenance, also the maintenance window, you can select when do you want the maintenance to be performed, like 4 in the morning or which day and everything. So for that also we have different options, but I've kept it as no preference, but you can choose the maintenance window depending on your database and application. Now click on launch your DB instance, and then you'll see that your DB instance is being created over here. So we can go ahead and view the instance. Now you can see over here that it's still being created, it's orange, but you can already see the monitoring section where you can see the CPU utilization, the memory, the storage available, and then the recent events available. And now you can see the status has been changed from backing up to available. So now our instance is available to use. So copy this endpoint, and this is how we are going to access our instance. And we are not going to access it using an IP address, but we will be accessing it using this endpoint. Also, before accessing, we can also look at the parameter groups that are available. We can change the parameters over here if you want to customize your database, and look at the details over here. You can scroll to your right and left and even search the parameters from the filter. Now over here you can see the engine is MySQL, then the status is available, instance name, and then you can see number of connections, CPU utilization, the class, the VPC, and whether the availability zone is multiple or not. So we can see various details. So let's copy this endpoint and let's try to access our instance from MySQL Workbench. Now click on that plus icon over here in the workbench, and connection name, you can name anything. So I'll just name it as AWS RDS, and for the host name I'll paste the string over here, and the username is what you had selected in the parameters, and the same for the password, what you had selected in the parameters, or what you had entered in the parameters. And let's test the connection, and it should fail because we have not removed the port number from the host name. So let's go ahead and remove the port number at the end of the string. So after removing the port number, let's test the connection again. So as you can see here, we have successfully able to connect or test the connection. And now let's go ahead and click OK. So this will save the profile, and now we will double click on this box and we will connect to our instance. So as you can see here on your left hand side at the bottom, we have the schema name that we had created, and there are no tables right now, but we have successfully connected to our RDS instance.